Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. Y'all, in order to give this reading, I kind of want to start by defining the word muse. What does it mean to be called a muse? A muse is someone who serves as a source of artistic inspiration, creativity, or motivation for an artist, writer, musician, or other creative individual. It's a person who sparks new ideas and encourages the artist to create something new. So keep that in mind. When I give this message, I'm standing in the shoes of a king of swords. My handmade card says that this person is a part of the dark triad. I'm going to read this to you. The hallmarks of the psychopath's behavior are deceit and reckless disregard for others. The psycho also lacks empathy and is completely indifferent to the emotional pain others may suffer because of his or her actions. So we are in the mind of a member of the dark triad, a psychopath. At some point, this King of Swords starts to think about the Seven of Diamonds. The Seven of Diamonds is about success, achievement, and reward. Y'all, whenever you get a reward, it's because of some type of effort that you put forth. So when you put forth effort, you know the reward is coming. Like, you really shouldn't be surprised. But this King of Swords is wanting a reward because of entitlement, not because they earned. It's because they feel like they are owed. This is somebody who feels like they have a right to a certain type of life. They just feel like, I got a right to this. And if I have to deceive you and recklessly disregard or cause you some type of emotional pain because of what I'm about to do in order to get the success, achievement, and reward, I'm not even going to feel no way about it. When I say that somebody is a King of Swords, you know, when we're talking about the court cards in tarot, the King and the Queen of the Swords can sometimes be spouses that are divorced. Okay? Now, the King of Swords is also somebody who's methodical. They're a calculating leader. But this person is a psychopath in reverse, which means that they are a tyrant. All of the relationships that they have, they will sacrifice. They will turn on their own family. They will turn on their own partnerships if it means that they can gain power and control. And so you got a King of Swords who wants success and achievement, but they're a psychopath. So the way they go about it is going to be dark. It's going to be wicked, and they're not going to feel no way about it. They're wanting change. The area in their life where they're wanting change in, it is in creation and artistry. Here comes the muse. All right. So although we're standing in the King of Swords shoes because we're going to understand what this person did, I'm talking to the muse. I'm talking to somebody who was used as a muse for a psychopath. Now, I have the Queen of Clubs. This is the muse. These are the energies of the muse that was tied to the King of Swords. You are someone who is mature, kind, considerate, honest, dependable, steadfast, and capable. At some point, you, as the muse for this King of Swords in reverse, you say something to yourself that no one else can hear. It sounds something like this. You don't owe anyone years of your life in exchange for the decline of your mental and emotional health. So you're coming out as the Queen of Clubs. You say something profound to yourself that nobody else can hear, but I get the energy of the 10 of Cups. When you say this to yourself, you are talking about a 10 of Cups experience. 10 of Cups is family. And so there could have been a home that you shared with this King of Swords. You may have had a family with this person. This could just be a member of your family, or this is a close friend circle, somebody who you are close with, right? But this is a relationship that has caused you struggle. It has caused you difficulty. You know, sometimes you get into some shit and it's like, yo, I'm way over my head. I'm floundering. This is a relationship that makes you feel like I'm going under. I'm drowning. But at some point you say something to yourself. I don't owe this to you. And I got a card here. It says restraint. Restraint, or the end of conflict. How did the muse break whatever bound them to the King of Swords in reverse. This reading, it says that even if you were restrained, like even if you were tied to this person by way of marriage, family, job, career, whatever, even if you were tied to this person, the way you restrained yourself, like you knew that even if I can't change my physical world, I can change my internal world. So the decline of your mental and emotional health, it's almost like you started to wake up to it. You started to pay attention to how much time has passed. But here's the thing. You know how you meet people and you often hear, you don't look like nothing that you've been through. And so the muse that I'm speaking to, if you can identify with a relationship that you've had with somebody like this who used you as a source of inspiration, although it was killing you from the inside out, if this is you, you don't look like you've been through that. You don't look like you gave all your years to situations like that. And so what Spirit is saying is that you carry the attitude of gratitude, y'all. And I know that sounds like some cheesy shit. I literally have just said that you have been a spiritual hostage to a psychopath. But now I'm talking about gratitude. Yes, there are some people who are so pure in heart, mind, body, and spirit that you can give them no love. You can deceive them. You can recklessly disregard them and cause them massive amounts of emotional pain and suffering. And these people are still able to find something to be thankful for. And so Spirit says that even if you were held captive to a situation like this in your life, where you felt oppressed, where you felt hindered from really expressing yourself, you recognize that something about this is beyond my control. And so even if I can't change my physical environment, even if I can't break away, what I can do to end the conflict is I can change my internal world. You ended the conflict with yourself. The mental and emotional pain and suffering caused from this connection, it disturbed your soul, but you started to put the pieces together. So you changed your life from the inside out. But when I see restraint, I feel like you did this, but you didn't tell anybody about your thoughts. You didn't tell anybody that you were changing from the inside out. And so sometimes Spirit is going to tell you to just be quiet. Don't say nothing. You'll have a revelation and it's like, oh my God, we've been together for that long and this is all I've got. This is what, like, you know, it's like you have a moment where you wake the fuck up, but you can't really change the moment. Like you can't stop it from continuing, but what you can stop is the war. You can stop what it has done to you internally. And so you pick up gratitude. You're like, fuck, I've been in prison, but what can I be grateful for? What am I thankful for? Let me pay attention to what's going right. And I'm telling you, when you can find something to be grateful for, you have just picked up a seed. When you can speak to the Most High, when you can speak out to Source in the universe, and you can talk about all the things that you are grateful for, what the universe hears you doing is planting seeds. And when you plant a seed of thankfulness, a blessing must grow. That is what you did, but you did this while you were still captive. That is, like, to not receive love and to be able to be loved, to give love to yourself, even though no one has all right, fine. The next part of the reading, it says you take most things personally. So here's the thing. As a result of being bound to a person like this, who has no regard for emotional pain, it makes you feel weird about your own emotions. It makes you feel weird about your mind. But this reading is saying that we often believe that everything happening around us means that it's showing us about who we are, instead of understanding that people's behaviors are mostly a reflection of how they feel about themselves. At some point, you were able to separate that the captivity, the pain, the suffering, whatever you endured, it was not a reflection of you. And so this person deceiving you, disregarding you, causing you emotional pain and suffering, you woke up and recognized, this ain't me, this is you. That's your shit that I've tolerated. I was wearing that shit thinking that something was wrong with who I am. All the while, the way you've been treating me is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. You deceive me because you deceive yourself. You recklessly disregard me because you recklessly disregard yourself. You lack empathy for me because you don't have it for you. You're indifferent to my emotional pain because you can't even feel your own emotional pain. You cause me suffering and you don't care because you cause yourself suffering and you don't care. At some point, you recognize that this shit that I've endured is not a reflection of who I am. It is a reflection of the person that I'm tied to and the things that they are going through, but I've been carrying it for years and it's been declining. What have I gotten? What have I gotten in exchange from being tied to you? A decline in my mental and emotional health. At some point, you wake up, y'all, but you wake up in silence. You wake up inside of yourself. Nobody hears and nobody knows. I get the energy of the Two of Clubs. The Two of Clubs talks about an unexpected gift, something highly beneficial, something blossoming. This could be a friendship. This is like a lottery type of moment. You waking up, you recognizing that everything that was happening to you and around you wasn't a reflection of you. That was like winning the lottery, the spiritual lottery. That wake up call, that is what brings in judgment. You just got to know that that's not your life. You've been living a life in exchange for something that was killing you, and that wasn't even your sentence. That wasn't your reward. I've described you as being considerate, honest, dependable, steadfast, and capable. Why would you deserve a life that doesn't reflect that back to you? It's because you didn't. And when you knew that, you brought in judgment. Judgment says, okay, everything that has been caused has created an effect. Every cause has an effect. The mental and emotional health, the decline of your mental and emotional health, the pain and suffering that you were caused. Now it's time for the other side of this thing to show itself. This is judgment. This is judgment. This is when the scales misbalance. Spirit said at some point you started to be your own witness. You recognized a pattern. You noticed what was going right, but you also recognize the patterns. It says sometimes you got to notice a situation that keeps repeating in your life. And it's only going to repeat because you are holding on to an old belief. If you keep believing that everything that happens to you is a reflection of you, you're going to keep living it again and again. But if you wake up to the pattern, if you become your own witness, and if you recognize that, oh my God, this is not who I am, all of a sudden you have broken a past belief. Whatever the belief was that allowed you to give years of your life to somebody that only exchanged you for, for your own suffering, you notice the pattern. And when you notice the pattern, judgment was called. This is like you won the lottery, but this is a spiritual lottery. This is a divine lottery. And it is in this moment where whatever it was that oppressed you, this is like when your authority and your power returns to you. You stood up for yourself. Sometimes we have problems with authority figures because we've only been abused by authority. But in this situation, this is like you called judgment because you knew what you knew. Like what you knew inside of your soul was too true. It was true. It was divinely put inside of you that this just ain't me. I've been taking all the shit you've done to me personally, thinking that something is fucked up about me. But you treat me, the way you treat me is really how you feel about yourself. Yo, can you think about that? For any of us that have spent years with people in situations that were less than ideal, think about the ways that you were deceived and mistreated. That is really how somebody feels about themselves. People cannot give you what they don't have. Y'all, if you ask me to borrow something, I gotta have it. I gotta have it to give to you, or I can't. If I'm giving you deceit, if I'm giving you reckless disregard, if I'm giving you emotional pain and suffering, I'm giving it to you because that's what I got. That's what I can give you. I can't give you love and compassion and care because I don't have it. And at some point you recognize I'm living in something because you know what I'm saying. Okay. So you call back your power, you call back your authority. But see, here's the thing now. This King of Swords needs help This King of Swords needs help because you are the muse. You are the source of inspiration. Who cares if you're mentally and emotionally destroyed? I need you for something. I'm using you for something. The flow that my life, the flow that I'm looking for in my life, the increase in creativity, the increase in artistry, you are my source. The success and the achievement, I've been getting it from you, so I can't. Why the hell are you waking up? Right? And so now the next part of the reading, I get the Three of Clubs. This says a relationship that is helpful, successful. And so now the King of Swords needs to join forces with someone else, and I got a Queen of Cups. So a Queen of Cups, it could be a mother figure, but we already know you're coming out as the Queen of Clubs. You are the muse. And so now the King of Swords, when you start to wake up and call judgment, stand up for yourself, take your authority back, they're like, I got to connect with somebody. I need help. I got to put this person back in jail. I got to put this person back to sleep. And so they create a relationship that is supposed to help them. They create a successful partnership with the Queen of Cups, who is going to help them fulfill whatever it is that they want. Okay, so salvation. I get a card at salvation. It says getting out of a sticky situation, needing somebody to essentially save the day. A Queen of Cups joins forces with a King of Swords when you start to wake up and call judgment, because the King of Swords and the Queen of Cups feel like, listen, fulfillment is still possible. Whatever it is that we were desiring by having this muse endure emotional pain and suffering, we can still do that, right? And so it's like two people join forces, but obviously these are two sick people. But what's already woken, judgment has already been called. Sometimes people can't believe that you have changed, because all those quiet conversations that you were having inside of yourself when you were restraining yourself, right? Nobody got to hear the conversations that you were talking inside of your own soul, inside of your own spirit. And so when you call judgment, people don't know, oh, I called judgment a year ago. I just didn't say anything. I knew I couldn't change my situation, so I just changed the inside of me. And guess what? Now it's time for my physical world to change. And unfortunately, when people start to see you make a shift and change, it's too late, but they don't know it's late. So now they band up. Now they got to find people to help them. And that's what this King of Swords does. He's looking for salvation. He's still wanting to have whatever the desire was, or the fulfillment be possible. Now I have a card here. It says connectedness paradox. You're hearing my boys in the background. I have a card that says connectedness paradox. More connectedness, less connected. I'm going to describe this to you really quickly. This was the point of the King of Swords linking up with whoever the Queen of Cups is. It could be a mother figure. It could be a matriarch. It could be somebody who was also close to you. This paradox says, y'all, I'm sorry, my boys were crashing out. So I had to pause it for a second, but I was about to describe the connectedness paradox. Okay, so despite being more connected through technology than ever before, people often feel more isolated and lonely because they have a lack of meaningful or fulfilling relationships. This part of the reading kind of tricked me a little. I was like, so what am I understanding here? And so this is almost saying that a Queen of Cups joined in a partnership with the King of Swords in reverse because they felt like fulfillment was still possible. Whatever they were yearning for, whatever it is they were desiring, they felt like it could still happen, but you had already woken up and called judgment. And so their version of salvation, their version of getting themselves out of a sticky situation is in alignment with the connectedness paradox, meaning if you're not attached to the King of Swords because you've called judgment, you've stood up for yourself, you've called back your own authority and power, but this person is not really wanting to let you go because you are their muse, however that's happening, they're like, okay, fine. We will make sure that they connect to no one else. If you're not going to connect to me, you ain't going to connect to nobody. And I'm going to use someone else to make sure that this doesn't happen. And so a partnership happens between a Queen of Cups. Now, the tarot deck that I used in this reading, it is the Disney Villain tarot deck. And the Queen of Cups in this deck is Ursula. So the type of partnership that this psycho king of swords, the type of partnership that this king of swords creates in order to get themselves out of judgment, or in order to get this situation to go back how it used to be, this is like calling up Ursula, the fucking sea witch, and saying, Ursula, I need you. I'm in a situation, but I know I can still have my desires met, but I need you, right? And so they're like, fine. And so their idea, in order to keep you bound, if it's not to me, you just need to be bound. It is the connectedness paradox. More connectedness, less connected. We don't want you to have a meaningful relationship. We will make sure that no relationship you will ever be in again will ever be fulfilling to you. However they did that, you will know. But this was the point of their partnership. If I cannot be with you, you will not be with anyone. No meaningful and no fulfilling relationships will come to you. That was the only way that they could save whatever had already been done in order to make you this person's muse. Okay, y'all. So that's the reading. I think I've gotten everything. Sorry for the pause. This is about you feeling isolated and lonely, even if you are single and free and self-sufficient. Something was still supposed to at least make you carry that same feeling that you carried when you were connected to this King of Swords in reverse. All right, y'all. So this was giving me spiritual hostage, but this is like you freed yourself from the inside out. But you were also somebody's muse. And however they contracted you to them, you were supposed to stay bound, but something about you becoming your own witness, noticing the patterns, recognizing that the disrespect that I'm getting is not because I am deserving. I'm actually a really good fucking person, right? And so the life that I'm living with you, it's not a reflection of who I am and my being. When you wake up to that, that is like literally you getting a lottery ticket. That was you hitting the Powerball. That is how you call judgment, take your power back and stand up for yourself. You become your own witness. You don't allow anybody else to tell you this is the life you deserve. No, you become your own witness. You assess your beliefs. If I don't like this life, what is in my mind that has allowed this life to manifest? That is a hard question to ask. Because once you ask yourself that question, the answer will come. And when the answer comes, you got to do something about it. And you did something about it. And so I feel like the way that these people respond, it's like they start clinging, they start scrambling, literally because but they don't recognize judgment is judgment. You can't undo judgment. But unfortunately, they didn't know that this was really the end. This was really the end of something that was difficult. Whatever this dispute, whatever this conflict, this oppression, whatever this was, it ended when you started to talk to yourself differently than these people were speaking to you about who you were and what you deserved. Y'all, I love you so much. I totally identify with the reading in front of me. Okay. I'll see you in the next one. Y'all, we have an 8/8 Friday is the 8/8 portal. I've been posting in Patreon. Tier 1 of Patreon, I'm going to do an 8/8 portal message, like just an 8/8 reading. And so I found about 4 different readings that we can do for the 8/8 portal. And so if you are in the Tier 1 group of Patreon, I am going to allow you to choose which reading I do for the 8/8 portal, and then that reading will be shared with all of Patreon. But Tier 1 gets to choose which reading it will be. So Tier 1, I haven't posted in your section, but you are going to be choosing our 8/8 portal reading, and all of Patreon will be able to experience that. Okay, y'all, I love you so much, and y'all better walk through this portal with your head held high. Okay, I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.